leg then of the playoffs. In terms of the first leg, you described how you felt it might go before the match when we spoke to you last, and it was pretty much exactly as you anticipated in terms of the style and the feel of the game.
Yeah, I think so. And I think what we have to remember is that they've turned over nearly everybody this year, you know, including some of the big teams. 2-0 recently against Luton, 4 or 5 against Grimsby earlier in the season. And it's very important in a two-legged cup tie to make sure that you come back at home with at least some type of chance. And I thought, apart from the poor decision for the penalty from our player, not the referee, I thought we pretty much played it exactly as we needed to, and as much as pretty much exactly as we wanted to. Yeah,
so you had a good feeling prior to that one as to how it might shape up and how it might go. Have you got a similar feeling ahead of this next leg on Sunday as to what the game might be like?
Well, I think the first thing that people have to appreciate is that you know, it's up to the opposition to stop you from playing, and to some degree how much you can play is dictated by that. And you know, they are a very forceful unit, there's no doubt about that. Whoever went to Halifax on Wednesday was always going to be involved in that type of game. Now, whether the home game will be different remains to be seen. But for sure, if we don't match the battle, then first and foremost, then we can find ourselves out of it. And you know, we have to make sure that we A, are capable of doing that, and B, do it on the day.
You're in the situation now where you've got the 1-0 deficit still clearly very tight. Is it important not to place too much focus on that one goal? Don't try and rectify things, if you like, too quickly. Have you got to take it all in your stride?
To some degree, I think you're right. We've got to dismiss the fact that it's 1-0 and just focus on winning the game. If we win the game, we go at least into extra time. And therefore, what I'm saying is, we have 90 minutes to get the tie back in our favour. You know, the last thing that anyone would want to do is to have to chase it even further. You know, we saw what happened when we went to Grimsby in the second leg of the trophy. We were able to score early, and then life becomes even more difficult. Not insurmountable, but even more difficult. So, you know, I still expect it to be tight. And it would be a surprise if either team runs away with it.
You mentioned the balance, if you like, between dealing with what the opposition have to offer and then being able to play and do what you want to do. To a certain extent, going into any game as a manager, is that one of the key issues that you battle with, getting that balance right?
Look, I think everybody wants to see good attacking play with some bright forwards who can run and dribble and you know, get the crowd off their seats. But at this level, if you are not equipped to deal with a long throw or a corner or a free kick, if you're not equipped, and by that I mean physically equipped to deal with it, then you can play all the football in the world and lose a goal, and you're chasing it even further. And that is always the balancing act. Now, certain opponents give you more problems than others. I would suggest these give pretty much every team the biggest problems to deal with in that respect.
And you talked about the Shea being a cauldron, and the atmosphere was great, and the home fans really backed their side well. Now it's your turn, isn't it, in that respect at the Abbey? Hopefully you'll get a really big crowd, and we've seen with a number of games this season, Luton comes to mind at home under the lights, where if the crowd are really on it and you get that electric atmosphere, it helps the players to push on to the next level.
Well, first and foremost, we have to get a big crowd tomorrow. You have to come. You know, do not desert your team at its time of need. You know, I sound like Lord Kitchener there, don't You know, if ever we needed a full house, Sunday is it. You know, if you're sat at home thinking that you're going to watch it on the TV and get some type of perspective, you won't. They must come Sunday. And the other thing is that we can't have periods where it's quiet, which our crowd is sometimes. It must be 90 minutes of solid noise. There'll be periods in the game when we're under pressure. There'll be periods of the game where we might make mistakes. There'll be periods in the game where the game is quiet. They can't be. And anyone who went to Halifax, our support was fantastic. But any of those supporters who went there should tell everyone in the city what it was like. You know, I thought it was a really terrific cup tie. You know, both teams going at it, no quarter asked, no quarter given. It was raining, the pitch wasn't easy, but every single player on that pitch gave everything they've got for their football club, and I think that's all you can ask for. And on Sunday we need every supporter in the city to come and give everything they've got, because I think they'll bring more than we took to Cambridge, because I've seen them away from home at the back end of last season, and their away support was incredible. And you're right, we kept the Luton support quiet because our support was fantastic and the team was great, and that's the sort of day we need on Sunday.
Yeah, and you touch upon those key moments in games as well, where inevitably the opposition have a period and it's a bit more difficult for your lads on the pitch. That is when the crowd can really play their part, isn't it? If they can help dig the side out a little bit when you get those passages in the game. You
can't have periods where there's no noise. You know, the noise has to drown out all those people who want to come and make their clever comments. It has to be a continuous 90 minutes of solid sound from the drummer, from his men, right the way around the stadium, that we've had at times. But there can be no quiet periods Saturday. The team really needs the 12th man. I mean, I think they've got 12 men anyway, because Pearson plays like 2, so that's 11, and a goalkeeper, and then they've got the supporters. So we need to make up for that on the pitch, and we need to make up for that in the stands.
In terms of the team news, are you still keeping your cards close to your chest in terms of those injuries?
Yeah, I think so. But you know, we'll see where everybody is over the next day or two. We've picked up one or two knocks that might keep people out for Sunday. From that type of game, you would expect nothing else. You know, we've had 3 of those fierce games in the last 5. You know, and it's took its toll in terms of injuries. But you know, rest assured that whatever 16 we put out, they're going to do everything for their football club. The end goal is still there. It's still achievable. We've made life a bit more difficult for ourselves, a bit more difficult than we wanted to, but you know, it's not insurmountable, and you know, we've got to keep believing in this group of players that they'll come good on the day.
Can I just ask about Luke Berry, not perhaps so much about his actual fitness at this moment, but more generally, is he okay with his virus? It's nothing too serious?
Well, we've obviously taken medical advice, and you know, he's still training. You know, we felt he was well enough to be involved in the 16 on Wednesday, as with Cullington, as with Dunk, you know, we'll see where we go for Sunday. But still waiting for results of blood tests. Got to go for a scan, obviously we just hope it's nothing too serious.
Okay, great.
Richard, I just wanted to ask a bit about Sam Smith, and obviously he was back in the team on Wednesday night. And how good do you think that loan spell at Hereford has done him?
Well, he looks fitter than he's been in all my time here at the football club, and I think you know, last year when I came, he was injured and recovering from injury, and then never really got over that. Came back and broke his wrist first training session, so it was an incredibly unlucky period for him. And he's come back much leaner, much fitter, and I thought the two of them really battled the 2 centre halves as we needed them to on Wednesday. But as is the want for everyone who puts a striker's shirt on for us this season, it looks as though he's going to miss Sunday because his ankle is the size of a balloon.
It's a shame really, because he was one who made a breakthrough as a teenager at Rushden and was quite highly thought of, and he's just had those struggles with injury, and he's still relatively young though, so if he could get over them, he's hopefully still got a promising career ahead of him.
Well, that's up for Sam to prove to everyone, isn't it? You know, but there's no doubt that injuries early in a young player, a lot of injuries early in a young player's career can affect them, and it means they take a while to come back. But it looks as though he's going to be missing for Sunday. Well, I'm not certain about that, but it looks as though he will be.
Yeah. Just looking forward to Sunday, and in these sort of games where it is, it's knockout football. I would say it's a cup tie. Can you sort of draw on the experience from the running the trophy this year to sort of help you in these situations?
Well, I think every experience that that people have can help. There's no doubt about that. We're in a slightly different situation. We were going into the second leg at Grimsby, one in front and away from home, so it's a complete turnaround. Look, my experience is that if you lose a second goal, then life becomes very difficult. As I've said, not insurmountable, but it does become more difficult. But look, our home record is good. I think we've won 16 home games. If we do that on Sunday, then at least gets us into extra time. I think in 10 of those games we won by more than one. So, there's a lot of experience to draw from in that. We've been pretty good at home most of the season, as Halifax have in their home fixture. And, we have to turn up, we have to play, we have to try and be calm, we have to try and play when we can. We have to match the fight, we have to do all of that. And if the crowd get behind us, then hopefully we can have a good day.
Yeah. How much of the mental side comes into it in these sort of situations as well? Is it fair to say it's probably the team that copes with the psychological aspects the best, that will play a large part in determining who goes through?
Well, I think on the day that will certainly determine who ends up going through, because the team that can obviously cope with both the intensity of the game and then play some football when they can, will be the team that ends up going through. And obviously, taking chances. Look at last night's game, for example. We've had more chances than both teams who played last night in our game, and we're the only team that's behind. And we've scored 50 goals at home, I think, this year. We're the fourth top scorers in the league, and we haven't scored for 5 games. So, you'd have to hope that it's going to turn. Let's hope it turns on Sunday.
Did you go and watch the Grimsby Gateshead game last night?
I didn't. No.
Not too worried about what happened.
Well, I've seen Grimsby and Gateshead probably 3 or 4 times in the last month. So I'm not going to learn any more last night than what I don't already know. I think sometimes it's more important. We had a good day yesterday. We stayed up after the game. Had a good recovery session yesterday morning. Got back on the bus. We watched the game. Got back, had a good talk about it, it's more important that I'm ready for the game on Sunday than going to watch Grimsby or Gateshead.